Good day, everyone. Welcome to Horns Up. And Peter, even though the virus is still raging on, there's some semblance of the old normal creeping back in. Case in point, something that happened on July 4th, not in America, but in Switzerland, because some countries in Europe have eased restrictions around live events during this pandemic. German thrash legends Destruction, they were able to perform a special show at the famous Z7 or Z7 club in Pratlin. I don't know how to pronounce that, but that's in Switzerland on July 4th. Of course, tickets were very limited due to the governmental restrictions. But you know what? Fan videos have already hit YouTube, and damn, the energy there is just on such a higher level than almost any of the live stream shows I've watched. Regular concerts totally beat live streams any day.
Yeah, man. I mean, you can't really compare, to be honest. It's not fair. And especially with a band like Destruction. I mean, I can say it because I happened to catch them when they played at Bangalore Open Air a few years back. And they really put on a good show. So, come on, man. It's thrash metal. Who wants to watch thrash metal on a live stream? Like, it is just like weird for me. So,
yeah, unless of course it's a prior concert show or something of that sort. Like Metallica, I think have been doing a fantastic job of putting up all their old concerts every week or so.
Yeah, but like,
it's good to watch.
I mean,
for
like
nostalgia's sake.
Yeah, true. I mean, but like Metallica are like in a different level altogether. I mean, in terms of their production and the stuff that they are putting up is, like your stadium size thing, right? So at least you get that atmosphere and all. But most of the other live streams, when you compare, are just like four guys in a room, and it's weird.
That I think is the differentiator. When it's just your band performing to a camera, then automatically half the energy is lost. You need crowds for this, man. It's weird, but live equals crowds.
Yeah, true. And of course, the sweat and the grime and everything else, the beer and whatnot that comes along with every festival. But it's great that you said this because, I mean, just the other day I was seeing, I saw an update in Finland. They're actually going to have a metal festival, and Insomnium are actually playing. So I'm very curious to know how that's going to happen in August. But yeah, man, I'm glad to see at least in Europe they're opening things up.
Yeah, you're beginning to see new ideas. You're beginning to see new things. Of course, the drive-ins we've already spoken about. You're beginning to see socially distant pods or fan clusters and artist renditions of how stadiums as well as open-air venues will look like with adequate social distancing with fans. Oh, well, at least I don't think mosh pits are going to come back anytime soon.
No, not really, man.
Anyways, well, we are continuing to talk live music today on Horns Up with Destruction's Matt Butcher, the frontman and bassist Schmier himself. The band released a solid live album earlier this year that, as Schmier says, was unknowingly recorded by the audio engineers at the Partisan festival the band played in. What do you think? Was this recorded unknowingly?
Like, typically, and I could kind of buy that story from him because otherwise, most live gigs I've heard, then you'll typically have like the frontman saying that, like, guys, you're on, this has been recorded or something like that, or like, come on, show some more energy, kind of like hyping up the crowd. But yeah, man, I mean, there is a different kind of charm, right, when it's done unknowingly, because like he said, you can't go back and fix it, and that also depends on this kind of musician, right? So
I mean, you can, in this day and age, there's always a possibility to edit and retouch and do everything out. But yeah, I'd like to trust Schmier when he says that this was recorded unknowingly. Anyways, here's a splendid and pretty candid chat with Schmier, where we pretty much chat about everything from why backing tracks should be banned to Destruction's own Vine. That's an idea you'll hear first ever on Horns Up. So here we go.
And now on Horns Up, it's Destruction's Mad Butcher Schmier. How you doing today, man? Yeah,
Good. How are you guys?
we're
Everybody's
good.
up
We're
now
good.
too in India, huh? I guess.
Yeah, it's been a few years. But before we get into that, I mean, we're here to talk about your latest live album, Born to Thrash, live in Germany. I mean, it's 10 songs, runs for 50 minutes. How do you guys go about putting your set list together? I mean, do you look to please every kind of Destruction fan?
I think you cannot please everybody, but the live set list that we have on this album is like a festival set list. We played on the Partisan, which is one of the biggest German extreme metal festivals, and we only had like 55 minutes, so it's kind of difficult to get a set list together. But we have a lot of experience, and we know there's like, let's say, between 8 and 10 songs that we have to play, or people are fucking gonna be sad. So there's not so much headroom on a set list like this because it's pretty short. But we wanted to play, of course, some new songs because our new album came out that weekend. So we have Betrayal and Born to Perish in the set list, and the rest is basically classics. Yeah, it's a classic set list of a festival, basically.
All right.
When we
And
play like a headlining show, we usually play like 1.5 hours. Then there's 35 minutes more. Then of course you can add some little extras that we don't play every time.
yeah, and you mentioned that you recorded this at the Partisan festival last year. So does it feel like, different or somewhat special when you're performing in front of your home crowd in Germany?
Yeah, sometimes of course it can be very good to play home. Then people like celebrate your homecoming. Also, sometimes playing at home can be not so good because your hometown crowd maybe saw you too often. Or it's gonna be like, oh, destruction again. Ah, fuck. So you never know what you get. But this one was a good one. It was the second time we performed at the festival, and actually the second time or the third time, I'm not sure. But yeah, it's an extreme metal festival, so people are coming for extreme metal. So we had a really good reactions on the crowd, and it was a great night. Otherwise, we wouldn't have released it on a live album.
Okay. Well, this is your fourth time doing a live album as such, but the first with this lineup. What have you guys learned while recording and producing a live album? Any studio or stage tips or tricks that you guys have tried out with this particular one?
I think the best advice I can give you for a live album is don't tell the band you record them. Because we didn't know that the album was recorded, and the show was recorded by a friend that was there with his recording equipment. He was recording some other bands that day, and he recorded us by surprise, and we didn't know. He came to us after the show and said, "Hey guys, surprise! I recorded your show," and we were like, "Oh fuck!" So it was kind of an accident, and I think once you know you get recorded, it makes you more stiff. It makes you more anxious. When you don't know, you go out there, you kill it, you play like you always play. It's the best way, I think. Don't tell the band that they got recorded because then they're gonna fuck it up.
Okay. So let me ask you this. I'm sure you've heard Kiss Alive.
Yeah,
Yeah. Have you seen the documentary behind it?
I think it's recorded at sound checks and stuff, right?
Yeah, I kind of. I mean, I brought it up because
It's not really live, is it? It's not really live.
okay,
It's check.
yeah, it's not really live. You're absolutely right because that documentary it broke my sense of authenticity because the band admitted that they went back into the studio and actually
No.
touched up and re-recorded the parts that they'd fucked up on the live recording. So I'm not insinuating anything, but what's your take on that kind of an approach?
I think, then it's not a live album anymore. When you start to change stuff, it kills the original feel. I think a wrong note or, I'm also on this live album, I'm mixing up some lyrics here and there, because it was, we had like flamethrowers on stage, Sometimes you walk to the microphone and then the flamethrower comes, and then it's like whoosh, and you're like, fuck, I forgot the lyrics. That's what happens, and that's live. And I think people don't want to have a flawless live album. Of course, they want a tight live album, but little mistakes make us human, And I think that's why I think I prefer a live album where I can hear that not everything is 100% perfect. Because when I have the same as on the record, if it sounds the same as on the record, what's the sense of a live album, So I know nowadays, of course, a lot of bands are either doing one thing, they're recording a lot of shows, then the best parts of the shows, so they don't have to go to the studio to kind of redo some stuff, or like our live show on this festival was, of course, the best of show that we played like so many times. It's like Mad Butcher and Best Invasion, songs like this we can play in our sleep, So
yeah,
then it's kind of easy. But we also did live albums before where we used like 3 different shows and cut them together, But that actually kills the atmosphere a bit. I think the great thing about this live album is that it's like one shot break. There's no fade in, no fade out. I'm talking German. Nobody understands, But
yeah, that was quite interesting.
but but it's authentic this way.
all right.
Right. So, does the band have any like pre-gig rituals or something that you do to get into your stage mode?
I think, for many years we always had a shot before the show, like a shot. I kind of stopped it because it a little bit dehydrates my throat, and then in the first song you have a little bit problems with the routine. But usually what we have a little drink before the show, and before we go out, we all give us high five, and then we go out kill. No praying or handstands or whatever.
Right. So we've come to like the stage section of this interview. We'd like to play on the show a track from the live album. So which one should we play and why?
I don't know if it's difficult. For me, my favorite Destruction song always is when I play it on stage, and also just because it's one of the best songs we ever wrote is Curse the Gods. I think it's has this Destruction vibe, the riffing and the chorus and everything, the roller coaster, the way the song breaks down and gets fast again, the heaviness. I think Curse the Gods is maybe one of the best Destruction songs, so we should maybe play that one.
So, Schmier, there's always an air of unpredictability as such at live shows. I'm sure there would have been times when you've had to suddenly, take the pulse of the crowd and either change the set list abruptly or play a variation somewhere, or maybe the guitarist starts up a solo differently or something of that sort. Can you share any such stories where perhaps the crowd has gone against what your original plan was?
Crowd was going against the band, you mean?
Against, like, I mean, maybe you feel that the crowd hasn't just started popping up the way you would expect them to be. And so, what do you guys do when in times like that?
I think when when you feel the crowd needs an extra kick, then you just put more energy into the show. You try to be more enthusiastic and try to get the crowd. It doesn't help if you lay back. Then you have to just try harder to get them. I think that's. I don't remember a show that we couldn't get the crowd. Actually, we played a lot of festivals. Also, we played some festivals where there was like only hard rock bands, and we were like the only thrash band. And then you can tell the first song, poof, and the crowd is like, "Ooh, what's going on? What is this?" Before they were all like clapping and singing along, and all of a sudden they get their face kicked. But usually after a while, we have some parts in the show also where people can clap and scream along and stuff, and people get into it after a while. And I think we actually usually get every crowd. It's the challenge of the night, to especially when you play festivals, to get the festival crowd also.
Right. So, in the last few months, thanks to this pandemic all across the world, we've seen the rise in virtual concerts. Is that something that you all have thought of dabbling in? And if so, or why not?
Before I play a virtual concert, I will hang myself live on TV.
Why do you say that?
Because it can be something that we need. I understand now in the pandemic, there's a certain entertainment in it. It's because we have no shows now. I understand that we could, but it's like we have the same shit in Germany here. There's football games, like soccer games, without crowd. There's no sense in a soccer game when there's no people. It's like 12 guys playing the ball, but no atmosphere. And it's the same when you play a show without a crowd. It's like being in the rehearsal room. It's like it's missing the most important ingredient. It's the crowd, and I think the entertainment of those little sessions online is okay, but most of them also that I saw didn't sound good, didn't look that good, because it's difficult to produce this right. It's costing a lot of money. You have the cameras, the sound, you have to mix it. It's not so easy to do this right, and then at the end, you're sitting in front of a TV, you don't feel the bass, you don't feel the sweat. It's not the same. And what I really don't like about it is that Facebook and some other operators are already trying to make money with it now.
Yeah.
So soon they will tell us, oh, we don't need concerts anymore. You just play an online show and the whole world will see it. Fuck off. We don't want that. We want to see the fans in a sweaty club and have a show together. It's an experience, we don't want all this online crap. So I like the internet. I like some new stuff is great and it's fantastic to connect the fans, and some jams are of course cool, but this shouldn't be the future. And in the pandemic, okay, but not from us.
I completely agree. I can't help but imagine the very first show that we get to see here locally too. That'll be like a sweet, sweet, sweet return to normalcy.
And sorry for saying it, but it'll be literally destruction.
Yeah. All right. So okay. So here's a slightly different question. What do you think makes a band more metal? Is it the ability to record new music and push the boundaries in the studio, or is it the ability to perform and bring all that music live to a concert?
I think it's very important to write good songs and record them well in the studio. And I also still enjoy doing this. But of course, when you go on stage, it's the naked truth. It's the truth. Can you perform those songs that you before recorded in the studio in weeks and weeks of hard work? In the studio, you can do a lot of things. You can cheat. You can take a lot of time to play a part that you maybe can't really play live. So I think the moment of truth is the live show. And that's why I think live is the moment of metal. Of course, the recording is important, but live on stage is when we see metal is happening.
You guys have been around for 4 decades now. Did you think you'd have
Almost 4 decades.
Almost
Okay,
4 decades.
almost 4 decades.
Makes me sound old.
I know, I did. That was not my intention. But, looking back all these years, when you guys first started out, right, did you think you'd have such a long and consistent career?
No, of course not. But, also we had our ups and downs. We had our split ups and, lineup changes and some difficult years also. But at the end, we never thought we would go that far. I remember when we started, the only thing we wanted to do is like one day play on stage. We never wanted more. We never wanted to go like big. We never wanted to be rock stars or something. We just wanted to play. Our big dream was like playing on a stage. And once this happened, and the band became famous quite quick, and also the pressure we had when we were very young kids already was intense, and we never thought this would go on. Actually, it's actually crazy that metal, like a worldwide movement, and fans all over the world are listening to heavy metal nowadays, because we couldn't imagine that. Like, we knew, of course, there would be fans in Germany and fans in America. But all of a sudden, later on over the years, we played a lot of crazy countries where we didn't know metal fans exist, So, like India, or like we also played some countries like where you would think because of religious beliefs it's impossible to play, like Malaysia or Indonesia. There's great metal scene in Indonesia, So that's something we never ever have thought that we could, get there and play in front of our fans, So the whole development of the metal scene is actually amazing, because it's underground music. It's nothing that happens on TV or is pushed by the mainstream media, and that the scene made such a development worldwide in the rainforest in Latin America, or on some lonely islands. You will always find metal fans, and that's, of course, fantastic. We never thought that far.
Yeah, well, we never thought that we'd be able to be having this kind of a conversation with you, Schmier.
Oh,
So,
at the end, it's a small world, though.
Exactly. Yeah, metal is what brought all of us together. So tell me this, times they're always changing. What do you think has changed in heavy metal, especially for gigs throughout all these years? And what do you think has stayed the same?
I think the development I don't like about heavy metal is that more and more bands are using backing tracks nowadays. They are using support from tape, basically, to perform live, and that's a sad development, because I see a lot of big bands doing this on festivals also. That I don't think it's needed. Because I think heavy metal and rock and roll in general should be pure, honest music. And when the guitar player was drunk before and he doesn't play so good today, hey, it's live. I think that makes real music real and separates it from pop music, where everything is playback anyways, So I think metal should stay real, and all these backing tracks, I'm not a friend of that, And what stayed or even become more close is that, heavy metal for me still is something that unites the world, wherever I go, no matter because now we're talking about racism and everything at the moment worldwide. For me, wherever I go and I see metal people, I feel like they're my brothers right away, and that has never changed. That has been growing over the years, and that's something that sometimes I still can't believe how fast you connect once you're metalheads, and I think that's a great achievement also of our music, that we really are a united scene.
That's awesome. I mean, you've brought it up a couple of times already, and one of the highlights for me 5 years ago at Bangalore Open Air was watching y'all play that killer set in such like a congested. I mean, it wasn't an open air environment, but yeah. What are your memories from your trip to India? I'm very curious to know.
Oh, I mean, it was very exciting for us to play India because, as I said before, we never thought we could come to play to India because we didn't know so much about the Indian metal scene and stuff, So it was very exciting for us, and of course, we all love Indian food, So it was great to have a lot of fantastic food in India, and yeah, met a lot of great people. We also saw that there was a lot of amazing Indian bands also, like adjusting like the Indian culture into metal music, and that was very interesting. Like the quality of Indian bands was outstanding because the Indian scene is rather small still, right? It's not so metalheads, but there was a lot of good bands. I remember this was pretty impressive.
Yeah,
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, we're glad to hear that. So, any live experiences that you feel still need to be ticked off of a bucket list of sorts if you have? I mean, what is really on Destruction's bucket list? I want to know.
Oh, I'm not such a bucket list guy. I just I try to do stuff, I don't write it down and then I don't do it. I just try to do it. And I think we have reached a lot of things. And for us always, the great thing is to go somewhere where we didn't play yet, like a country where we never played before, like South Africa. Africa in general is a continent we never played. We've been everywhere in the world, but never played in Africa. It's not so easy, of course. So South Africa has a metal scene. I would love to play there one day. That's on the bucket list, maybe. And maybe play on the same stage as Judas Priest one day. We actually played. We played festival together before, but they played the other stage and not the same stage as us. So hopefully one day, because Judas Priest is my all-time favorite metal band.
Yeah, we're both Priest fans. So okay.
The last album was fucking killer.
Yeah. Okay. So here's something for your list. Now, in the last few years, a lot of metal bands or even rock bands have expanded into alcohol also, right? So if there has to be a Destruction beer or whiskey or a spirit of your choice, what would it be and what would it taste like?
Ooh, that's very difficult. I think, we're like wine drinkers in Destruction. We basically, we've been going over the years from beer to booze, or then to wine, and now we stuck on the wine. We don't drink so much booze anymore because it fucks you up too hard, So we're from a wine region also. Like basically where I grew up, there was vineyards behind our house and stuff. So this is really like a wine region. So a Destruction wine would be good, like a strong, tasty red wine. I think I would see a raunchy red wine would be a good Destruction product, I think.
Yep, and you should definitely call it All Hell Breaks Loose.
Exactly, and with a nice label, exactly.
All Hell Breaks Loose the wine. That would be awesome.
Exactly.
So if this happens in the next year, you heard it here first.
You were like a marketing director or something.
I do work in marketing.
Okay. All right. So Schmier, I'm actually a bassist myself, and so I have to ask you, when did you know that bass was your instrument?
Actually, bass kind of became my instrument after the other guys were looking for a bass player. Destruction came to me and said, "We're looking for a bass player. Are you a bass player?" And I said, "No." And they said, "But you look like a bass player." And I said, "Okay, what do you do?" And then next day we went to the music store and bought me a bass. And then I became the bass player of Destruction. So it was not Destruction at the time. It was the band before Destruction. But it was Mike already in the band. And they were looking for a bass player because at this time, the scene was so little. We were the only few people that listened to metal. And and they didn't have a bass player. So I became the bass player by accident. And later on he became Destruction, and here we are. It's I'm accidentally a bass player, basically.
Okay. So having said that, what do you make of all the memes and the jokes that always has us bassists as the butt of the joke? Has it bothered you at any time?
If you ever heard how thin a guitar sounds without the then you understand that all those jokes are just envy jokes from guitar players that know that without us, they don't sound like a band.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Yep, completely agree. All right, Schmier, it's been an absolute pleasure. So here's our final question to you. What does metal mean to you today?
Metal for me is life. Sometimes people say, "Hey, Schmier, you're a musician. How long do you want to do this? Like, do you retire?" Metal and music for me is life, and I want to do this as long as I can. So it's not something that you just can stop or adapt. For me, I breathe metal 24 hours a day, and I'm a metalhead to the bone. So for me, being a metalhead is a big gift, because I found something that really gets a lot of dedication from me and that makes me happy. And as I said before, metal made me travel the world. Metal made me see India and many other countries. So for me, metal is a big gift.
Awesome. On that note, Schmier, thank you so very much for talking to us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Horns up. Keep doing this.
Yeah, horns up, man.
We can come back to India.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that.
Bullshit is over, hopefully next year. So stay safe, guys.
I love Schmeir. Dead to thin guitar sounds. Amp up the fucking bass.
Yeah, man.
Full power to Schmeir and Destruction for doing what they do.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a fun show that they released, and I think there are a few videos on YouTube also. So for those listening, check that out also.
And with that, that's all the time we have on Horns Up this week. Say hi to us. We're at hornsuppod.com, at hornsuppod on Twitter. I'm at Asmoani. Peter's at Trend Crusher. Till the next time, Horns Up.
Horns up, guys.